Hi, welcome back. I'm Louise Grant from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm with Angelique Moselle Robbins, who is the internationally known channel of the angelic realm named Geschichte. This is the ongoing series about Angel's life as a channel. So I hope you've enjoyed the ones so far. I think today's topic is going to be really interesting, and I haven't told her what it is yet. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Okay. So you, in addition to being a channel for the angelic realm Geschichte, you also work with ghosts and residuals and spirits, both here in this realm as well as in the afterlife. And I know you've gained that mastery of ability through your work with Geschichte, Archangel Michael. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What it's like, not just as a channel, but what it is like for Angel as she now can work directly with energetic spirits. So, in asking the first question, can you just give us an understanding of what your experience is when you connect with transitioned energy or spirit energy? I'll let you term it how you think is the best way to phrase it.
Well, it's a broad question, and the reason it's a broad question is because what I've found is that there's different types of energy once someone has died. So there's what I call residual energy, which is what's kind of left over. It's kind of a memory imprint that's left on the fabric of this reality. And it's not the person's soul. It's usually, in my experience, I'm only going to speak from my experience because that's all I've got. It is what's left over from pain and trauma.
Okay, so if I hear you, you were saying that what an average person might say is a ghost, you are calling residual energy.
Yeah.
And you are saying that it's not their soul, because their soul has already transitioned after this physical life, but an aspect of their energy, primarily a painful or traumatic aspect, is continued.
It's like it's on a loop.
Here.
It's like it's on a pain loop. And that's why certain things will be stuck in houses and, or any type of perhaps location where something traumatic happened. And that's not to say that the energy doesn't have an intelligence, because it does. And in order to clear it, I still have to communicate with it. And I still have to use the same tools I would with anyone else, tools of compassion, tools of understanding, communicating, what's actually happening with that energy that's here, explaining to that energy that it is fragmented, essentially, from its origin. So that's one type of energy.
Okay. When you say that it's a pain or a trauma, which I'm assuming at the point of death, there often can be trauma, correct? Someone has had a long illness. They've had some type of car crash or wreck or some instantaneous injury that led to death. So I understand that type of energy. Could it also be that, let's say someone died late in life, but they lived a life of deep sadness at the end of their life, or maybe even early in their life? Is that also some type of energy that residual that would remain
Could remain, yeah, sure.
more so than that moment of death?
I've come across both.
Okay.
And that's why this is a broad topic,
Mhm.
because there's not really, I don't feel like there's just like one answer for everything.
Mhm.
Because I've also experienced coming into contact with someone's soul. The what I find to be different when that occurs is that there is something that person is trying to communicate, something important. And in that case, I have come into contact with someone's soul. For example, I had a woman contact me actually last year. I saw her in our house, felt her in our house, and I was like, hey, what are you doing in my house, you know?
And let's just even stop for a second before you go on that. So I remember you shared this with me. So you were like working out in your house, and you felt an energy, you saw it.
Both.
What was that?
So the way that I see is I'll see it out of my peripheral more than like standing straight in front of me. However, I have seen that before too, but usually it's like I see it in my periphery, and then I feel. It's like, you know, when you can feel someone's in the room with you, it's like that. Like you can feel the presence in there.
Is it like I know it's not an invisible presence because you can see it with your eyes, but is it more of like a translucent presence? Wispy?
For me it is.
Okay.
I don't know how everyone experiences it, but for me it is.
Okay. So you saw this presence, and I'll let you continue.
Yeah, and I was a little peeved because, you know, I work at keeping my house pretty cleared out. So I asked, what are you, why are you here? And she communicated to me that she had been in a shooting in, I forgot what state it was.
I think it was
Alabama. And that there was someone that she cared about who was in critical condition. And she knew that me and the people that Geschichte trained could help this person who had been shot and who was in critical condition recover by treating him from a distance.
So this soul of this woman who has just died from a traumatic death is continuing to love her loved one and wants help for him because he's in the hospital.
I don't know if it was her loved one. She didn't tell me who he was.
Okay, someone she was with at the time of her death.
And I could clearly see she had a child. So it had something to do with, she wanted him to get our help in order to help her child. I don't know in what way he was going to help her child. I don't know what any of that is.
Okay.
But when I did look it up, I researched shootings in Alabama, and sure enough, there she was.
And you recognized her or felt the energy of her as you read the news article?
Yeah. And then, sure enough, there was somebody else who had been in the shooting and was in critical condition. So.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 questions on that. She found you how? Because you are like a beacon of light, of energy. How would a soul who has transitioned find you here on this physical plane?
Yeah, that's something that's puzzled me as well. And so I actually asked Geschichte that. And Geschichte said, the ones of you that can communicate look kind of like lights. So because the way you travel is different, they're not depending upon, walking to someone's house, for instance. That the experience of no longer having a body takes away the slowness of physical travel. So I guess it would be like being able to move kind of at the speed of thought and being able to kind of see lighthouses or something and just be there
So I guess what we don't know is she might have reached out to a lot of
Yeah, who knows?
beacons of light to say, will anyone help me?
Yeah.
And at first you're like, oh man, you're in my house, you're
Yeah.
in my space. And then you said, okay, I'll hear your question. I'll help if I can.
Yeah.
She wanted your help with this man. So what did you do?
I said, yeah, I'll help, and I'll ask Geschichte students to help also. And so, yeah, we helped, didn't we?
Helped in what way?
Oh, we helped the guy in the hospital.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I do know the answer to that because I was part of it. But yeah, I mean, we sent energetic healing to that person day after day for hopefully his recovery.
Yeah,
But
hopefully so.
and she did not come back to you again,
No.
did she?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
She stayed for, I guess it was 3 or 4 days, and then left.
It's beautiful. So that was a soul who had transitioned, who needed something from you.
Yeah.
The others, as you said, the residual, which is the fragmented energy. Which
Yeah,
is
I really would call it kind of a memory pattern
Mm-hmm.
that's imprinted on this reality's fabric, so to speak, that's on a pain loop. That's what it feels like. It's like if you can feel it on a loop.
And does it want to be released from this energetic field?
Not
And-
usually. Usually it is, how would I describe that? It's quite resistant. Usually it's quite resistant. And it's interesting, though, if you really think about it, if you're someone who's actually worked with humanity in this way, the hardest thing when I'm working with people is to get them to let go of their pain. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So pain itself seems to have an attitude. and it doesn't seem to be any different when it's just pain that's left behind kind of thing. It still has that attitude.
Okay. So if there is a residual, again, we won't use the word ghost, we'll use the word residual, and someone has hired you or has asked you if you can clear their home because they just continue to have things that are going awry. It may be that technology is crazy, lights are always going on and off, or we hear creaking on the floor. Some of those things that you might typically hear someone say if they feel like they have ghost energy in their house. What is your role?
Well, number one, my role is the communicator. So that's where I'm really talented. I'm really talented at communicating and soothing. So I'm able to soothe painful energy. I'm able to help it be receptive. And once it becomes receptive, it's much more willing to dissipate or join its originator, however you want to say that. But it's willing to get off the loop. It's willing to allow the pain loop to no longer exist. It's willing to understand itself differently.
So you would go into a house with the intention of communicating with the energy. And then as you talk a lot about communicating from your heart space, understanding how to feel energy, communicate with it, translate
Well,
it.
and ultimately that is the scary part. And that's why clearing houses is no joke, because in order to truly communicate with energy like that, you have to let it in. So
you.
Yeah. So I have to be able to feel what it's feeling. That's the only way to validate it. That's the only way to soothe it. And so over my course of studies with Michael, Archangel Michael, I was able to create an incredible library within me of emotional understandings. So the true rooted understanding of compassion, what it feels like, and the ability to hold that energy. The true rooted understanding of unconditional love and being able to hold that energy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what, and so on, but what all of those things do, or confidence, you know, whatever you want to pick, but each one of those has an energy to it. And if you can train yourself to really feel it in your chest and hold it for long periods of time and really get to understand it and have it available to you, then when you're communicating with pain,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be with someone who's sitting in front of you or a residual, you can offer the pain a different understanding. So number one, I'm saying I'm not afraid to feel your pain. I'll feel your pain with you.
So it's validating.
Mm-hmm. And then I actually do feel the pain. And after feeling the pain, then I can feel its antidote.
What
I
it
can-
needs in order to be dissipated.
neutralize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can offer it what it needs to neutralize. And so while it's in me, I hold the estates through communication. So I'm not forcing anything on it. I'm not telling it to go to the light. I'm literally bringing the energy into me to transform it.
Yeah, it feels very respectful.
It
You know,
is.
we
yeah.
think about some people who talk about ghosts, and you have those stereotypes of people being hard, like out demon
Yeah.
type of approach,
Yeah.
or this aggression to get rid of something.
Yeah.
And everything that you're saying
That's
is all
Hollywood.
about, you're talking about compassion,
Yeah.
actually validating,
Yeah.
and through a softening approach, you're able to help that energy heal and move on.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's also exhausting because to be the one to transform pain it takes a lot of energy to do that. So it's not an easy job.
Mm-hmm. It's not about just getting a piece of sage and lighting it and putting it on the four walls of a house to clear the energy of a house.
No. That's bullshit.
And on that note, okay.
Well, I want to tell you
Okay.
the one other thing that I've found with now I do use sage
Mm-hmm.
because it helps to, sage is good in that what I've found energetically is that it can help neutralize really weak energies.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of helps you clear the air so that you can deal with the bigger things.
Okay.
But as far as taking care of the bigger stuff, no.
You have to have someone who is truly trained, and I would think that that's a small population in this world
Yeah.
who can really do it at the depth.
Yeah. And it's scary because you never know what you're going to find. And I've come into contact with some very powerful pain. We'll just say that. And one experience, my hair actually caught on fire. So that was frightening. And I've had other frightening experiences as well. But I think it's that kind of resistance energy. It knows you're coming there to neutralize it. And it's fighting. It's in its death throes kind of thing.
And then eventually it just weakens and surrenders.
Yeah.
And so you may stay with that energy for a couple of hours. Is that, or-
Sometimes longer. And I have come into contact with certain energies that are not interested in neutralizing. And, that's tough. So it's really, it's a much more complex
Mhm.
reality than you might think. But the one other thing I've come into contact with is that sometimes when someone has died and a loved one wants to be in contact with that person, I get to feel the magnificence of them. I get to feel who they are without any problems, basically. And that is remarkable. That is absolutely beautiful and feels more like Geschichte. So those, I would basically describe the three as what I just did. So residual, the soul needing to communicate something important, and the soul having combined with everything, and you feel that huge expansiveness of God. Those are the three I've experienced.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there's a lot more that we're going to discuss on some of those topics, especially those transition souls, and when Angel-Geschichte work with a client to help them connect with a transitioned loved one. I've actually had a personal experience with them because they have done that for one of my family members, and it was very, very beautiful for the person helped in that healing process. So more next time. Thank you so much. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you will join us for the next in the series with Angelique Mizell-Robbins, who is the internationally known channel of divine intelligence of the angelic realm named Geschichte. Thanks.
Thank you.